This is Morning Prime. Thank you very much for your feedback and for trusting us to give you objective conversations and information to, of course, move the country forward rather than a few steps back. You are the highest office. Talk to us at KTN News across each platform. You can find me at Doris Anki. On the set today, Honorable Veronica Maina, nominated senator under the UDA ticket. Dr. Kanyuithia Mutunga, who is a member of Parliament Tigania West. Also with us is Honorable Owen Yabaya, who is a member of Parliament Kilifi North. And also with us is Honorable Anthony Kibagendi, member of Parliament Kitutu Chache South. Many thanks once again for joining us this morning. Keeping it as objective and respectful as possible. I want to pick it from where we are because I know there's a key business in Parliament. And before we took a short breather, all of us agreed that we need to essentially use platforms as we should. That is, exercise those rights, the powers donated to you, represent Kenyans, and get solutions to our local problems. Dr. Mutunga, you might have a few things to say and of course I'll hear from Senator here how Muranga is doing. Honorable Kibagendi will have a right to reply shortly as we move forward with the conversation of the day.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I just want to highlight two issues. One is the use of language. I don't think when you say Kenya Kwanza typically, you know, my understanding of typically is a process that is repeated and known to everyone. That uses, when the matter of Simbarati was on air, and we were discussing that, commenting on it, and then our honorable member here was actually saying that Kenya Kwanza is a government that is typical of discrimination and doing all these things. So I would imagine that the approach of the government is very different. Kenya Kwanza government is balanced, and Kenya Kwanza government does the right thing. Secondly, you cannot brand the members as sycophants, which is not right. So let's not go that direction. In my very considered opinion, there is a way of spearheading opposition which is not necessarily blaming in a manner that is not coherent with what is happening. The Kenya Kwanza government has made very tough choices. And these very tough choices are now bearing fruits. And that's the direction we are moving in. Since the beginning of this government, there has been a lot of fodder for the opposition, if I may say. Things have been not so good. The cost of living has been high. We've had food insecurity and so on and so forth. Things have turned around. The cost of unga has gone down by 50%. The Kenya shilling has strengthened significantly by about 40%. Petrol is going down. Very many other things are happening. The tough choices that the president made have really borne fruit. And these are things that we need to realize. When the price of petrol used to go up by 5 shillings, it used to be airlines all over, and it was a huge debate by people in opposition, which is really not the way we should go. This country needs patriots. And unless we are patriotic, we cannot tear this country into pieces through politics and believe that we are building it up. The only way to build a nation is to look at what is the impact of the choices that are being made. What is the logic of the choices? Of course, the logic of the choices was heavily challenged, but now we can see very many things happening which are quite positive. The cost of electricity has come down. Basically, many things are falling into place, and I believe Kenya is ended in the right direction. When it comes to distribution of positions, and in response to what Honorable Kwagedi was talking about, everybody in this country knows that there is scarcity of resources. Everyone. I have a road that was launched in 2013. Just to give a specific account example. I am not in the opposition, and that road has not been done. And I don't complain everywhere. I have to understand that we are going through a time. The road will be done anyway, sometime.
I'm sorry to interject. When you say everybody agrees that there is scarcity of resources, we've had panelists or people who have said that there is a lot of resources, but there's a lot of wastefulness going on and poor use of these same resources. I'm not sure everybody then means everybody at this point in time.
What I mean is that the government put it very clearly, the situation in which they founded the country. We've had 2 budgets now, the first budget which had a deficit, and the second budget is running right now. all of them are posting a budget deficit. The idea is to try and bring the budget deficit down and try and minimize the cost. The first thing the president did was to reduce on the cost of, to reduce the budget by around 300 billion shillings. In trying to concession, in trying to, make sure that we do some savings to try and contain the economy, as it were. Now, the economy is on a growth trajectory. Kenya is receiving accolades in various ways, which means there is even recognition from outside Kenya that Kenya is doing a good job. So, yes, indeed, people will speak from different backgrounds.
Okay.
And somebody can imagine that is a lot. I am not an advocate of waste. I've spoken many times against excessive waste when it comes to misuse of resources, especially misallocating resources to the wrong options. We need to allocate resources in ways that they will be useful and generate value for Kenyans. All
right, I want us to also look at the cartoon, and this is of course drawn by a Kenyan. They're trying to say something about the country, and I know even as Senator, you want to pick this up, but what is your interpretation of this particular cartoon? Vividly you can see it, so what is your interpretation? What can you see? What can you draw from this?
I'm just looking at this cartoon, and I think I might even need my glasses.
Yeah, 2 years after the general election.
Yeah, I'm seeing the cost of living.
Yes.
The one thing I would say is this. I see that there's a very little man there. I see...
Is an electorate?
An electorate carrying a bigger...
Incumbent, governor, or something, government.
Carrying a bigger, heavy, huge man. Which is what I would call is the politics we have of the day, called sensational. This cartoon would have been very good when we were coming in 2022 or 2021, when that heavy burden had already built up, because the heavy burden on Kenyans we didn't just wake up during Kenya Kwanza's government tenure and find that the electorate were bearing a heavy weight on the cost of living. Meaning, this cartoon, whoever drew it, I would assume it is picked from those days, but if it's today, I would want an objective take to issues and a professional ethical take to issues. I would want an acknowledgement in that cartoon and a fairer way of saying the dollar has been at almost 170 in January, and today it's about 130. I haven't checked. It was 160 something. Yes. I have bought $1 in Kenya at close to 170. Okay. Very shy of a shilling or so shy of 170 shillings. I would want an acknowledgement in that cartoon on where the price of unga is, so that heavy weight on government is not that heavy. Let me finish. So this is not a very objective cartoon. And if that is how somebody is feeling, there is a perception that is being created. And we are not saying things are very super. Okay. We've still been having an economy, just like in any part of the world, that is struggling to stand firm. But we have seen the government making sure that education is funded, government making sure that we are improving the medical cover with the shift from NHIF. And when those programs take root and are fully implemented, what I find sometimes is as though Kenyans want an instant coffee situation where things turn in a minute. They don't turn in a minute.
All right.
To turn around government policy, by the way, it could take a year, it could take 2 years before you reorient that program or that policy that has been pushing people to a corner. But myself, I would think I would want a more objective approach to the current situation.
Honorable This, my analysis of this cartoon, if you look at this cartoon clearly, you see on the chart, it is written incumbent governors.
Incumbent government.
No.
Government. Is it government or governance?
Governance.
Or it's governance.
Governance. Just look at it nicely. You see, I can lend you my glasses. Governance. Now, service delivery, by the way, if you look at service delivery according to Schedule 4 of the Constitution, Schedule 4 of the Constitution gives a lot of responsibility in terms of responsibility for service delivery to counties. Counties have the highest mandate in terms of service delivery to the local mwananchi at that level. And because of that, we expect the governors to put into proper use the resources that have been allocated to them by Parliament and by the people. When you're given the responsibility as governor, the people are saying, we are looking at our health care and health services. How are you delivering our health services? We are asking, agriculture is in the hands of governors. How are you delivering our agriculture? How are you delivering sports for the youth? How are you delivering these things as governors? Governors have taken into politics and politicking, and they have forgotten that they are actually the agents of service delivery and change. And you see, if you look at a lot of the governors that are actually the ones that came from Parliament, they were politicians. They were people who were running politics. Now they're supposed to run government. They were so much used to opposition and opposing. Now they are supposed to run governments. They're supposed to be the executive. They're supposed to deliver services. And what they have failed, and I can tell you, a lot of these governors, look at the Auditor General's reports, and you will see it. There's a lot of wastefulness, there's a lot of wastage in the counties, monies are getting lost, there's no service delivery. Even this doctor strike that we have today, health has devolved function. What is not devolved is interns, okay? And the referral hospitals, the 3 referral hospitals in this country, health services in the hands of governors. But we go to a hospital today, you don't find drugs, you don't find doctors, you don't find, even without the strike, you don't find, there's a collapse of the health system in this country.
Even without the strike?
Without the strike. That is service delivery. Okay. So this cartoon is up to the point that this, you know, people are looking at 2027 instead of looking at now. What is it that they are doing? A clear case example, look at what we avoided the Kisii issue. But even when the Kisii community and county people come out to complain about Kenya Kwanza, they need to look inward and ask themselves, they have a government in place with resources that need to be distributed and services delivered to the people. How is their governor delivering on the promise and the services to the people? Those are the kind of things. Simba Arati was my friend in the 12th Parliament. I sat with him and we were very good friends. Yes, he is a good politician, but he has failed as an executive. As a governor, he has failed. He has pursued politics throughout. He has allowed distractions. He has invited people to be fighting him all the time. He is not the kind of guy that I would want to be a governor, you know, because we want an executive that sits in the office, that plans and ensures that resources are properly distributed, so that even when Anthony Kibagend here, who is a good friend of mine, comes to this show and says, you know, Kenya Kwanza has failed to do this, but my governor we don't have this road, but my governor has done this. You know, we don't have this, but the hospitals in Kisii are working. That's what I would like him to say, so that we know the service delivery. We have 47 governments, county governments. We have one national government. They have responsibility, and I want to tell those governors that are sitting as governors today, you have an opportunity to redeem devolution in this country by ensuring that you do the right thing, by ensuring you use resources properly and deliver to the people and lessen the pain. You know, when they say cost of living is high, cost of living in this country will be high if a governor does not leverage on productivity in his county in terms of food production, and these people have to go to a shop always to buy unga, then you have a problem. If county governments are not leveraging on tourism to expand it and to bring resources to the people, the cost of living of the people will be high. So incomes and productivity will lessen. The cost of living, Aki, I want to tell you, is not always based on taxes. Does not come because of taxes. Cost of living can also come if there's lesser productivity in the areas and in the counties. The lesser productivity in the counties, the higher the cost of living. So all those that have been given responsibility to deliver services and to do production and to reduce the cost of living, they need to do their job. You know what I picked from Honorable Bayer is he did not even specify which political affiliation the governor is aligned to. He said, every governor, all those mandated to perform. But you also...
The only challenge is the use of color in that cartoon.
Yeah, because that's what you have from Honorable Kibagendi.
That color,
also comment on the
green
cartoon.
and yellow, the green and yellow is suggestive. So the one who's done the cartoon, because the electorate now I put on my glasses is in orange, and the government, the county government, they are drawn there. It is very deliberate use of color. So that deliberate use of color is the one I was saying. I think it lacks a little bit of objectivity. In terms of, because they want to pit those colors, the green and yellow are colors of Kenya Kwanza. So why are they using green and yellow? Why can't they use green and yellow down there instead of using green and yellow on they've used the electorate on orange. So they still pit us, they still pit the two as government against an oppressed electorate, and pit the electorate, the oppressed ones, as the orange color. I think they should use, next time they should use purple there. All right. They use blue, they use maybe white. Maybe white. Okay.
Honorable Kibagendi, what is your
First,
your perception?
I would like to agree with Honorable Baya on the issue of governors. Governors have been a major letdown across the country in terms of service delivery. Indeed, if governors would do their job, it would lessen the burden of the cost of living. You know, some of the biggest challenges we have in the communities, in the rural areas or rural constituencies, even here in the city, are water, which is devolved, agriculture, which is devolved and gets a bit of support from the national government, and thirdly, health, which is devolved. And those are the major things that affect our people. And hence, it is high time that governors, through their caucus, decide to actually do something. But they always...
I'm sorry to interject, but just the other day, there was a back and forth around revenue allocation.
And that is what I was coming to.
Brought in the plight.
That is what I was coming to. While at it, with the little resources they get, they need to be able to do something. There is very little that is happening. Although in our county, Kisii County, the Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital has improved in its service delivery in terms of the revenue they generate, the number of people they serve, the number of people who used to die because of lack of services has gone down. The only challenge we have is the other level 4 and level 3 hospitals that most of the time lack medicine and of course personnel. But again, I want to come on to something else, which is revenue allocation. We need to improve on the amounts we send to the counties, because again, the governors who came before the governors we have now overemployed. Counties are overstaffed. So what happens? A bulk of the amounts they are sent, that we send to the counties, go into recurrent expenditure. Very little goes into development. And that is a challenge that is facing most of these counties. However, you'll realize that the Office of the President gets more allocation than the 47 counties we have in this country. That is a fact, which is unfortunate. We need to increase the funds we send to the counties so that they have some amount that they are able to use on development. And it is a challenge to the county governors to be able to utilize the resources that we send in a way that is able to demonstrate to the people that elected them that they are doing something. And if you have excess personnel, when people retire, now you don't need to employ your relatives and your friends. Reduce on the number of people, and there's a conference going on about the
wage bill.
The wage bill. And that is what is affecting most of these counties. And while they complain, the next thing, someone retires or someone resigns, they quickly want to replace them. So it is something that needs to be dealt with. There's something these wonderful members have been talking about the cost of living.
Right.
Cost of petrol is not because of Kenya Kwanza's doing. That is because, look here, that is because of international oil prices that have gone down. The only way they can help in reducing cost of oil is reduce taxes. If they deal with taxes, they will take credit. On the issue of the cost of maize or unga, you need to realize we have been lucky to have long rains. It is not Kenya Kwanza's doing, unless because of prayers. Taxes are still the same taxes. Now, the cost of living is not just pegged on cost of oil and cost of
Wouldn't
bunga.
it have
it has an impact.
An impact
but look here, the cost of education has gone high in this country. The cost of healthcare continues to go very high. They're saying there are new 2-3 laws that have come in that are supposed to improve. Do you know NHIF is not paying hospitals? And because of not paying hospitals, hospitals are not treating patients. You come with your NHIF card, you're told it is the NHIF. No, we are not treating.
What about the transition to shift?
You're paying in cash.
Okay.
You have to pay in cash. Now, today, there used to be something called Linda Mama.
All right.
Yeah? Linda Mama used to take care of expectant mothers. It has been withdrawn. They are saying they'll start in July. Now, are you telling me between now and July, the women who are expectant should postpone their delivery dates? Is that what you're saying? Now, again, the cost of living on matters to do with healthcare, when you frustrate doctors, like they are frustrating doctors right now, what does that mean on the cost of health? It means people must go to private hospitals, and private hospitals, you know, their focus is on profiteering. The other thing on cost of living, they talked about education.
So that they
Do you know
respond to you?
capitation is hardly sent. Hardly. Like right now, they say money has been sent. Do you know money that was supposed to be sent in January was sent the other day in April? Is when money. Now, money that is supposed to be in schools from May will probably come in much later.
The Treasury explained itself on that matter.
Now, but look here. How can the Treasury say that while the executive is busy spending all over the place?
Okay.
You know, right now, CDF has not been disbursed. Even bursaries, when the president in January was saying, we have given MPs bursaries, we have sent capitation money, that was not a truthful statement from the head of state. Why?
I want to challenge
because
that.
look here. Let me finish.
It's okay, I'm adding you 30 more seconds so that we can also not lose.
Do you realize? You know I'm timing myself. They've taken more time than I'm taking.
I am in control of Kibageti. I am fair to you and the viewer.
In capitation, the capitation that the president said in January was sent in April. CDF that he said he had sent bursaries that was supposed to be sent in December was sent in March when schools were closing. So what we are saying, cost of living is not just around maize and cost of oil.
Okay.
While we appreciate there are certain things that have happened, like cost of electricity, that happens because of cost of oil that has gone, international oil prices have gone down, it will definitely affect cost of electricity. Number two, the rains will of course affect the cost of electricity. Yeah. So how did Kenya Kwanza work on the rains?
Let's send this to them, and I also want to accept that the viewers are sending in their feedback on the same. Senator Veronica, according to Honorable Kibagende here, you totally have nothing to show. You might have done well, but you're taking credit for things that external factors are influencing,
For the rains.
like fuel and the rains. But so far, in his assessment, Kenya Kwanza, the manifesto you talked about this morning, is not being implemented as should be and as promised to the Kenyans.
Now, you know, when Kenyans demand continuous better implementation of a manifesto, that is their right.
Right.
It is okay for Kenyans to tell government every day, you must implement better, you must optimize resources in a much better way, because that is what wananchi are looking for. They are looking for service delivery. And if you are a leader who is not delivering at your desk, and you are expecting that if you just come out, politic on a national TV, and you have not delivered on your mandate, that you'll be rescued by Kenyans in 2027, it becomes very difficult. I will answer question by question on what some of the issues that Honorable Kibagedi has dealt with. On the question of Linda Mama, women and healthcare,
Right.
that's a top priority for us, especially the women leaders. And this is where we say Linda Mama was helping women, and this is the one we tell even the executive that they must ensure that Linda Mama works. Why am I saying that? Because I'm an objective person in commenting on issues that affect mwananchi. Linda Mama, there is no leader today who would say that a hospital cannot take care of a pregnant woman.
So they're not postponing the delivery to,
yes,
to July?
It should not, yes. Even if it is said, for whatever reason, resources have to be resumed in July, the hospitals must be able, on a bare minimum, to assist women. Because truth of the matter is this today. If you walk into a clinic next door with very basic facilities, or even the midwives who help women deliver, with some of the available basic medical equipment, we can do more safe deliveries, and with advancement of medical technology, we can help women. So there's no reason anytime, anywhere, with the level of advancement we have in Kenya, for any hospital to abdicate their role in helping mothers to be able to deliver more safely. Today, in this day and time, and myself as a woman leader, I would not excuse any hospital institution, any county, any governor for that matter, who allows the number of women who are losing their lives within their counties for an ordinary process like delivery of a child. So I want to say this. We have to continuously take responsibility, even as county governments and even as leaders. Throwing words and saying we do not have enough resources in healthcare. The first question I'll ask the counties, because babies are not being delivered in Nairobi alone, where the seat of national government is. Babies are being delivered in counties. Do you want to tell me, with the kind of funding that is resources being sent to counties, that hospitals in county level cannot help women to deliver babies? They can. Do hospitals need the pending bills that are arising from the shift, the transition between NHIF and SHIF? Yes, they need a lot of support.
Senator, are counties
so in other words,
money
what
in
I'm
time?
saying, counties are
they receiving,
counties have received, by the way, counties received their money on time. We may have had challenges with, say, capitation on education, which needed to keep up the track, but we must remember quickly remember the history of where Kenya Kwanza government found itself in position in 2022. When we came in with the debt ballooning, which needed to be paid, with the county resources, with counties whose perspective is like what Honorable Kibagedi is displaying here on national TV, that counties continually think all resources must come from the government on top. Counties refusing to push their thinking to help themselves have income generating activities and streams that are own source revenue within the counties. The day we change the mindset on how resources should flow into the county, this is when we are going to change the way counties are resourced, and we will meet some of the budgetary gaps just by better collection of the own source revenues, improving the processes and the systems that are dealing with the own source revenues. Because what do we have? We have systems that have been pilfering. We have systems that have been corrupt. Has that corruption been just at the national level? Can county governments take responsibility? This is where a lot of resources are devolved. This is where we have wastefulness in resources at some point. So if we seal off those loopholes which are at the county, you will find that optimally those services can be delivered maybe 30% better than they are being delivered today.
Indeed, and I think not once, not twice, accountability structures issues have been raised even on this platform today. And I want us to look at the newsroom shortly. But before I do look at the newsroom, Honorable Dr. Mutunga, you sit in a very key committee in Parliament. And agriculture, as has been said, in fact, fertilizer is now, hot. Even in the National Assembly. But let's hear your general remarks as far as food security is concerned. High cost of living for a Kenyan is the food on the table, the money in their pockets, and no matter how much we're seeing Ruto tough choices start to bear fruit, I don't know how many Kenyans are realizing this in their small homes this morning.
Let me start by saying that Kenyans are a lot better this year than probably we were last year. Last year, the cost of living was high. Cost of food especially was very high. If the larger proportion of earning goes to food, it means therefore food is very costly. And that's what was happening last year. Coming back to the discussion on the table,
yes,
it is wrong to fully attribute the increase in yield or increase in production last year to the rains. There are three things. It is extremely wrong. Contextually, there are three things that must happen for you to have to increase production and productivity in agricultural produce. First of all, you must have a good seed, which the government has, over time, made sure that we have a seed supply system that is credible and reliable. We have the Kenya Seed Company plus others who are also selling seed in Kenya, and a mechanism through KEFIS of identifying who sells what quality, what kind of seed in this country. So you must have a good seed. Seed must be good. Second one is that the soil health must be very well done. In other words, we must have fertile soils. Kenyan soils must be given fertilizer. And the government subsidy program, coupled with the rain now, boosting the production and productivity. So the third issue is having water. The three go together. You can have water and you don't have good seed, no production. You can have, the good seed, there's no water, or you can have the poor soil and a lot of water in good seed, and you cannot be able to produce anything. So those three must be in tandem. Now, the idea is we cannot say because there was good rain, we had a good harvest, and therefore we were able to be food secure. We should recognize the deliberate effort of the Kenya Kwanza government to put in fertilizer to the farms. That's what the first thing I want to say. The second thing is what is happening right now. There has been a lot of talk about fake fertilizers, yes, about what, and low quality, substandard, and so on. Let me assure the Kenyan population that the fertilizer that the government is distributing through the subsidy program is not fake. What was identified was from one supplier, and it was removed from the market. 3 types of fertilizers
removed from the market,
immediately withdrawn from the market, and it's not circulating anymore. This was from a company called Kale Chemical Industries. Kale had 3 products: the Kale Force, Kale Gold, and the 10-26-10. Those 3 were found not to have the ingredients they purported to have. So they were of low quality, and therefore they were removed from the market. So the fertilizer the Kenyans are getting is of quality right now. And that took place within a very short time. Now, there is the other forms of issues that we are running, trying to deal with at the committee level, especially of the product that has been sold through the National Cereals and Produce Board, which is not really a fertilizer, which has been given very many names. First of all, it has been called a booster, then it has been called a conditioner, it has also been called an organic fertilizer, and this is by one company called SBL Innovate. This SBL Innovate has put in a product through NCPB, and we are following the links to get to know exactly how did this product land into the market when it doesn't have the active ingredients that we expect to have in a fertilizer. We are still discussing that issue, and finally we shall come up with constitutional
and also maybe what to say that if there is any fake fertilizer or anything that was substandard, there must have been specs that were given when the procurement was being done.
Yeah.
What we need to stop here in this country, because I'm very clear on issues of accountability,
right,
is that if anybody is found to have supplied that which they were not given a spec to supply on, and criminal culpability is found in whoever did that supply, what Kenyans would actually just love to see is people being called to account, being called to the book, names being brought to book, and even prosecution, so that the assurance can be returned to Kenyans that somebody will not just walk roughshod on public resources, do the wrong thing, and get away with it. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, it is to the DPP, DCI, the KEBS, whoever upholds the quality of that fertilizer, to make sure whoever is culpable, because it's a specific person who has supplied that fertilizer. If it was intended to fake, we must help Kenyans learn a lesson that it's time to walk the integrity walk.
Indeed, and even as I'm looking at this, and I want to hear from Honorable Baya, but Honorable Baya, just as you speak, Honorable Dr. Mutunga said that this was taken out of the market. We're not expecting it to circulate at this time. But Trans Nzoia County, and that is Trans Nzoia County, West Sub-County, Kitale Police Station have arrested some suspects and recovered suspected fake fertilizer. This news just in, and of course we're also looking at the investigations, etc. And a team from the DCI headquarters together with the NPS Trans Nzoia counterparts arrested the 3 suspects with 739 bags of suspected fake fertilizer, seen, processed, and exhibits, preserved at the Kitale NCPB stores, and the suspects will be arraigned on Wednesday. So.
That's good.
I want to say this on the issue of fertilizer. Every time something that seems to be profitable comes into the market, for example, because of the government program on improving production has come in, and people have seen that fertilizer is one of the things that is selling very fast, people will want to compromise standards, people will want to make a quick buck, and people will want to create something that can help them make money. You know, before, this issue of fertilizer was not there because government was not investing in fertilizer and all that, the production. Now that government is in fertilizer, people see it as an opportunity. If people can create fake money in this country and do wash, okay? Why would anybody be stopped from, doing a fake fertilizer? But anything that makes money in this country, people will want to.
But this is not something we're proud of, is
so
it?
we are not proud of as a country. But I'm saying
Exactly
this issue of fertilizer is just being blown out of proportion, as if it is the only thing in this country that has been faked. Many things, including money in this country. There are many wash people who do wash. But what I want to say is this. I am happy that government is stepping into that space and stopping those fake fertilizer. And I am actually happy that police are alert and looking out for fake fertilizer. And we need as a country to stop anybody who is making anything fake, be it fertilizer, be it money, be it wash, be it anything. Government must come in through for the people and stop this. But I wanted to delve into a few things. You know, I had Anthony Kibagende say a few things, and he wants to attribute everything to God and nature and rain and all that. Even his becoming an MP and all that, I'm sure he will attribute it to many other things that he did any strategy to put him as a member of parliament. You know, that is what he's trying to say here. But I want to tell him this. There's something called economics. You know, a subject which probably he may not have understood in school. But economics...
When we went to university, did micro and macro.
Yes, but I think, I don't know his grades he got. But I want to say this. You see, when you see food, if you see food has been produced at this level, there must have been some inputs that were put in somewhere to have the graph go up as compared to previous years. What is it that was done? I think Dr. Mutumba has explained it very well in terms of the inputs that were made. You know, before we were made to understand that the only way you can feed a country is through subsidy. And that there was subsidy on unga, there was subsidy. Now, I want to explain something. When you go to the shop to buy a kilo of sugar and we're told is 120 at the shop, but in terms of productivity, that packet of sugar was produced at 240, but it is being sold to you at 200. Who bears the 40 shillings? Who bears? You bear it. If you go to the pump, I have a car, I go to the pump and I buy fuel at 100 shillings, but the actual cost of that fuel is 150. But government has subsidized the 50 shillings through the subsidy program. Even that person who does not own a car pays for that fuel, for the car owner. Who bears it? Kenyans. This government said we want to throw away subsidy. And we were told that we can never run this country without subsidy. Today, proudly, this Kenya Kwanza government is running this economy without subsidy on consumption. Did you attempt on stabilization? It was much of a difference. No, I will come to that stabilization thing. Without much of subsidy. Look at the, if you look at, one of the things that was very contentious was sugar. And I remember when it came to the finance bill, there was a tax that was being levied there. And everybody said, no. If you put a tax on sugar, you know, people will not have tea. And I remember the honorable minister, when he came to parliament, and he said this, you know, we will add a tax on sugar because we want Kenyans to consume less sugar and have less diabetes and all that, and people thought it was a joke. But look at what has happened to the sugar sector. The sugar sector has been stabilized in this country because you used to have a lot of imported sugar. People would kill the sugar industry so that they can import and make money. Now we are saying, stop the importation, grow the industry, create more jobs. I want to finish on something, if you allow me to finish on...
I want you to finish, but we cannot... we cannot move further from the stabilization of the sugar companies,
I'll come
which
to,
you have brought forth.
I will come to that.
Which area, which factories, what has been revived? See, the last I saw was a conference.
There's something called policy. What is this government's policy on sugar? If you have a bad policy, you have a bad sugar industry. If you have a bad policy, it is issues of policy. What is it that the government has put priority? What is it that it is doing to stabilize the sugar industry? Look at the price. Look at the price of sugar today, from 500 to 250.
All right.
And yet we are saying our sugar mills are not working. How did that happen? I want to finish on something, on the fuel. On the fuel.
So that we can still really look at this fertilizer, because I think this is also, but
I want to finish on the fuel. This fuel, he attributes it to the global prices and all that.
And even the president himself said that.
Let me say this, let me finish. When the prices of fuel were going up, nobody said it was issues of global prices. Okay? Nobody said that. It was global prices.
Shouted at Kenya Kwanza.
Today, if the prices of fuel are coming down, they run and say it is global fuel prices. Let's be realistic. Let's be consistent in our arguments. Instead of today, when it favors you, you say this. When it doesn't favor you, double speak does not help. But I want to finish on something that is very important. He says the president did not tell us the truth about CDF. And I want him to disabuse that thing. If today Anthony Kibagendi will come here and say he doesn't have CDF money, or it did not come, then he's not worth
it. Came, but
you said
several months later.
What did I say? The president does not disburse funds, by the way.
I want to come to that.
Did you know president does not disburse funds?
No, but why should he commit?
I want to finish on the CDF. I just want to finish on CDF. I want to finish on CDF.
Yes,
2020.
There's a bit of
Veronica.
Just a minute.
It is from yourself.
On 2020, in the 12th Parliament, which Kibagendi did not sit in the 12th Parliament, by this time, this is April. By April in 20, we would have received probably 10 million shillings for CDF in the previous Parliament. Last year, a time like this, I remember when we went to the post-election conference, which I think he attended. By this time, we had received partly 20 million. By this time.
What percentage?
That's like 5% of the amount.
Drop.
Today, as we sit here in April, the improvement is so tremendous. And I think it's very important to look at his facts historically. Today, as I sit here, I have around above 60 million in my account. He has above 60 million in his account. Every member of parliament at least has that amount. In last year, 2023, we didn't have that. Now we have. I want to finish. Counties by this time did not have money. Today, the amount of money progressively, Kenya Kwanza has made progress in terms of disbursing of CDF, in terms of disbursing the 22%, in terms of disbursing monies to counties, the 10%. Progressively, you can see progress. And I would like Anthony Kibagendi to actually appreciate.
That is
number one.
Now, look here. When they do bursaries,
yes, Honorable Kibagendi, so that I can go into what is happening in Parliament.
Last year, we gave bursaries as early as February, so he should stop lying. We had the monies disbursed in December and early January. We were able to give bursaries in February. So this year, it was late. So that is a lie. Last year we gave bursaries.
You say in June.
Now, actually, that is number one. Number two.
There was a contention of the percentages in how it should be.
Number two.
The
only monies, he's saying above 60 million. Number two, every constituency has received 60 million shillings. Every constituency.
That you agree with?
That, no, he said above. It is just 60 million shillings that every constituency received up to March this year.
60 million is in your account.
Look here.
Can you give bursaries?
We already gave bursaries. By the way, you are ignorant about this yourself. Look here. The second thing I want to say is this. They were. Look here. The president in January said, I have disbursed this, I have disbursed that. And it did not happen. That was not truthful. That was not truthful. It is not the president who disburses. He is advised the treasury. But it is the treasury that advises him on what to say. So, look here, don't teach me. I understand. The president does not disburse. He needs to say the truth when he needs to say the truth when that time comes. That is one. Number two, on fertilizer. On fertilizer, look here, even said do not send kids from school in January.
Yes.
Yeah. Yet there was no money. Now, number two, there's something, when we talked about cost of living, there's something that was called educare. Children in high school were paid for NHIF. That has been withdrawn. That is why kids nowadays have died in schools. 2-3 kids have died in schools. Why? Schools do not have resources or NHIF cover to take them to school.
Honorable Kipagende, the 3 children you're speaking of dying in schools, you have on record.
Yes. It was actually aired on KTN.
Health issues.
It was aired on KTN. One in Ukambani, one in Nyambaria, one in Maranda.
You know, those are specific cases.
Now, I'm trying
which
to
would
say
need to be
things that
reviewed
this government
against
has
information.
what this government has withdrawn that has increased the cost of living. Now, and you realize these 3 legion of fearful MPs that are impressing their master with this particular show don't seem to give me an opportunity to speak. You spoke, you've been interjecting throughout. Can you give me an opportunity? Now, on the issue of fertilizer.
As you summarize, so we can
do you realize again, each time I speak, I have to be cut even by yourself. On the issue of fertilizer.
Yes.
Now, do you know, number one, the Kenya Kwanza stole from Kenyans. How?
Can
the fertilizer, I'm speaking, I'm here. It is here.
So you say the Kenya Kwanza stole from Kenyans?
It is here.
Let's allow you to substantiate it.
Allow me to
your
substantiate.
Statement, because your vocabulary is very strong on the
and even that one of fertilizer is here. The fertilizer was donated.
Steal? What was stolen?
Look, and that is what I wanted to explain. Yes. Do not interject. Allow me to speak. I have facts.
Now you have the floor. Lying. Can you speak if you have a point?
Now,
if you don't have a point, you allow us
the Russian government donated 260,000 metric tons to Africa.
In the year?
Late 2022. Kenyan government was given 34,000 metric tons for free. They went on to reformulate the same fertilizer to get to 100,000 tons. A donation. And then they went on to sell it to Kenyans for 2,500. That
can he produce documentation to this effect?
That is a fact,
this
and
is
I have it here.
Item.
I have this. It is
we
here.
Have the,
I have it here.
Do you want us to use social media?
Not social media.
Posts which are done by your bloggers.
All right, these are not bloggers. Look here. Number two.
You are not using.
But I have we have numbers from the Agricultural Committee.
These are newspapers.
All right.
Look here. This one operates at the mercy of the president that he's protecting. Number two. This fertilizer.
That's a very wrong allegation. We are professionals now, right?
Look here, the fertilizer that was again sold to Kenyans. How many seasons have we had since Kenya Kwanza came to power? How many seasons have we had of planting? 3. They donated fertilizer once. Not donated, they sold donated fertilizer to Kenyans once. So, taking credit where you are not supposed to take credit is unfortunate.
Indeed.
We should be able to. Number 3, we have gone on, Kenya Kwanza has gone on to sell fake fertilizer to Kenyans. They should stop lying to us that there's one supplier who did this. And for that reason, I want to say this confidently. The CS for health, for agriculture, got away with bringing in contaminated sugar. He got away with that. He got away with selling donated fertilizer. He can't get away with selling fake fertilizer.
And what we are seeing here, Honorable Kipagende, you sit in the parliament. The parliament has come out strongly to say this shall not bypass yet again.
Yes.
And they're right here in front of us as well.
And that is what we are saying.
Yes.
And if the president, up to this point, the president should have sacked him.
Let us hear what the rest of the panelists have to say on the same. In fact,
fake fertilizer, not a supplier. It is government. Forget about government has KEBS.
All right, now allow me to proceed.
KRA, they have all these agencies that are able to deal with this.
Gentlemen and lady,
this is just a deal they were hoping would go through for them to make money. Imewaharibikia. Hii kimewaramba. Forget about telling us about a single supplier. It is government.
It's okay.
It is
I want
government.
to take a very short breather.
Yes.
When we come back here, and for the sake of the viewer watching, I want you to stay with us, because at this point in time now, I'm going to challenge each of my panelists. And as a journalist,
Yes.
if I have to play bites, I will back play bites.
Yes.
Please produce
I have
your
them,
sources
yes.
of information.
I
I'm
have
taking
them
this
here.
break for
This
that
is-
reason.
this is
when
your
we come
newspaper.
back, please
The standard newspaper.
quote the source.
This is the
what is
standard
happening,
newspaper.
if any investigations were done. In this last session of the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, we come back to substantiate and know the way forward for the fake fertilizer. Stone, is it from the donkeys? Is it conditioning? And if the parliament is meeting today, what is the way forward? Kenyans, have you been compensated as the president directed for those who received fake fertilizer? Is it substandard? What does the CS face? If Honorable Kibagende is right about CSS getting away with what is hurting Kenyans, then what is the Oversight Authority doing? What is the president doing? And what do you expect? We'll be right back in the last hour after this short break.